What if your next aircraft could sit in your garage, lift straight into the sky, and feel almost as simple as driving? Air One is a two-seat electric VTOL aircraft built for personal flying, not air taxi service. And its timing is especially interesting as FAA rules evolve. Now, hold on, because that no license idea needs a little unpacking. Air One is being designed with non-pilots in mind, and that is a huge part of its appeal. The idea is to make flying feel less intimidating, with simpler controls and less of the traditional pilot workload. But easy to fly does not automatically mean legally flyable with zero certification or training. And this is where things get interesting. The FAA's MOSAIC rule has expanded the light sport world, including allowing powered lift aircraft and electric motors within the category. But the FAA still has sport pilot certification, training, and practical test requirements. So, no license is better understood as a consumer access concept than a literal promise that anyone can simply climb in and take off. And honestly, that makes the story more interesting. The real breakthrough may not be removing the pilot completely. It could be making the pilot's job dramatically easier. The regulatory door is moving too, with new light sport certification rules taking effect on July 24, 2026. Here's the first big clue. AR-1 is an electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, or eVTOL. In simple terms, it can rise vertically instead of needing a conventional runway, then transition into forward flight using its wings. That makes it different from a normal airplane, but it isn't simply a helicopter either. The magic is in that transition. Vertical propulsion gets the aircraft off the ground, and wing-borne flight takes over for cruising. That basic powered lift idea is exactly why these aircraft are so unusual. They combine vertical takeoff and landing with airplane-like forward flight. But here's where AR-1 starts looking seriously futuristic. Instead of relying on one conventional engine or one giant helicopter-style rotor, the aircraft uses 8 electric motors and propellers. They provide the vertical lift, then the aircraft transitions toward wing-borne flight. 8 separate propulsion units also create the possibility for greater system redundancy, which is one reason distributed electric propulsion is so interesting. But don't turn that into one motor fails and nothing can go wrong. That would be overselling it. Redundancy is a safety design feature, not a guarantee. In fact, the FAA's MOSAIC rule specifically recognized the potential safety and failure mitigation advantages of distributed electric propulsion. And then come the numbers. AIR currently publishes a top speed of up to 155 miles per hour and a range of up to 100 miles. Your supplied material also gives roughly 110 miles and about 1 hour of flight time, so the figures should be treated as version or source-dependent claims rather than one guaranteed real-world result. And range is not endurance. They sound similar, but they answer different questions. Real-world performance can change with payload, weather, operating conditions, battery use, and required reserves. So 100 miles should not be treated like a guaranteed everyday commute. It is a headline specification, not a promise that every flight will deliver the same distance. Now this sounds completely ridiculous, around 771 horsepower at takeoff. But don't picture a 771 horsepower car flying down the road. That peak figure is about the enormous power demand of getting an aircraft vertically into the air. Once it is cruising on its wings, the power requirement can fall dramatically, with AIR citing roughly 100 horsepower in cruise. So the strange part isn't the big number, it's the difference between needing huge power for vertical lift and far less power once the wings are doing much of the work. That's the whole trick. Vertical flight is demanding. Efficient cruise is where the aircraft gets clever. And this may be the part that changes everything. AR1 uses something called fly-by intent. Instead of forcing a new pilot to manually coordinate every movement the way you might expect in a conventional aircraft, the idea is much simpler. Tell the aircraft where you want to go, and the control system handles much of the work behind that intention. Think about the joystick. You point it in the direction you want, while the system is designed to manage things like direction, speed, and altitude. That could dramatically reduce the amount of information a beginner has to process at once, and suddenly, the aircraft starts feeling less like a machine you have to wrestle with, and more like one you communicate with. But there's an important line here. Simplified controls are not the same thing as full autonomy. AR1 should not be described as a completely autonomous aircraft based on the material we have. The pilot is still part of the system. The promise is that the aircraft can translate intent into controlled flight while staying within its designed operating envelope. And that brings us right back to the no-license mystery. Maybe the most important question isn't whether AIR1 eliminates the pilot, but whether it can make becoming one feel radically less intimidating. And this is where AIR1's bigger idea starts to make sense. Traditional aviation asks beginners to learn a huge amount before they ever feel comfortable in the air. AIR says skill requirements and noise are major barriers, so its answer is to simplify the flying experience. But easier flying does not mean zero training or certification. The no-license idea is really about making personal aviation feel accessible to people who never imagined themselves becoming pilots. Now imagine finishing a flight, and instead of searching for a hangar, you simply fold the wings and put the aircraft away at home. That is a major part of AIR1's pitch. AIR says its folding mechanism can be operated by one person in about 5 minutes, turning storage into something much closer to owning a large personal vehicle. Earlier descriptions even compared the footprint to a pickup truck. So yes, the lawnmower might finally have some competition. And that matters more than it sounds. If personal aircraft require expensive hangars, airports, and complicated logistics, they remain niche machines. AIR is trying to remove some of those obstacles by designing AIR1 around private ownership and home storage rather than traditional aircraft infrastructure. The aircraft can still be transported on a dedicated trailer when needed, but the basic idea is simple. Fold it, store it, and bring it back when you want to fly. Then there's the battery. AIR1 is fully electric, and AIR says owners can charge it at home using an installed adapter or use public EV fast charging infrastructure with a standard CCS connection. The company currently lists about 1 hour for a full charge and roughly 30 minutes from 20 to 80%. Those are manufacturer specifications, not guarantees for every real-world flight or charging situation. And that EV connection is important. The aircraft isn't asking owners to think about aviation fuel every time they want to fly. Instead, AIR is trying to make charging feel familiar to people who already understand electric vehicles. Home charging, public charging, and compatible infrastructure could make the ownership experience feel less like traditional aviation, and much more like plugging in something you already understand. But don't imagine a tiny flying scooter. The figures in the supplied material put AIR-1 at roughly 7 meters wide, 6 meters long, and 2 meters tall, with about 200 kilograms of payload. Current AIR material lists a higher payload figure of up to 550 pounds, or about 250 kilograms, showing why specifications should always be tied to the particular version being discussed. For now, the formula is deliberately simple: 2 seats, 1 pilot, and 1 passenger. That makes sense for personal aviation, where the goal is not to carry a crowd, but to make private flying practical. The Oshkosh interview also mentioned possible future 1-seat and 4-seat aircraft. For AIR-1 itself, the focus remains personal travel, recreation, and potentially short-distance commuting rather than mass transportation. This is where the imagination goes wild. A short commute, a weekend flight, a scenic trip, a journey between nearby cities where regulations and infrastructure allow it. Even the transcript jokes about making a grocery run by air. But no runway never means land anywhere you want. Airspace, weather, operating rules, and suitable landing locations still matter. The freedom is real, but it still has boundaries. And then we get to the part that really matters when the ground is suddenly very far away. Air-1's safety concept is built around layers. 8 motors and rotors provide propulsion redundancy, while the company also describes sensors, protective software, fly-by intent controls, and a ballistic parachute. AIR says its system continuously monitors the aircraft and surrounding environment, helping detect hazards and faults. The software is especially important because it is intended to reduce the workload placed on the person in the cockpit. AIR describes fly-by intent as translating the operator's intention into controlled inputs while maintaining a safe flight envelope. But none of this means the aircraft is foolproof. Redundancy and automation can reduce certain risks. They cannot erase aviation risk. And that distinction matters when the whole pitch is making flight easier for newcomers. Now hold on, because this is the reality check behind the entire "no license" headline. AR-1 is still an aircraft, not a road vehicle with wings. Certification matters. Pilot qualification matters. Where you take off and land matters. Airspace, weather, operating limitations, and local rules matter too. Simplified controls can reduce the learning burden, but they do not magically remove the responsibilities that come with flying. And this is exactly why FAA MOSAIC matters. The FAA's new framework expands the light sport category to include powered lift aircraft and new propulsion types, including electric motors. Its rules took effect in stages. Sport pilot-related provisions began on October 22, 2025, while the aircraft certification provisions took effect on July 24, 2026. The FAA also continues to require sport pilot training and certification, including practical testing. That timing is crucial. AIR-1 isn't appearing in a regulatory vacuum. It is being developed at exactly the moment the rules are opening new possibilities for light sport aircraft. So the story isn't anyone can fly tomorrow. It is more interesting than that. The technology and regulations are moving in the same direction. And then AIR-1 arrived at EAA AirVenture Oshkosh 2026 with an updated configuration, giving the concept a very real-world stage. AR presented the latest aircraft as a personal electric aircraft designed around the pilot experience while preparing for piloted flight testing later in 2026. The company continues advancing development and certification as it pushes its broader vision of personal flight. That makes the Oshkosh appearance important. This isn't just an old futuristic rendering being recycled. There is an evolving aircraft, ongoing testing, regulatory work, and a company actively refining the design. And the original message from the Oshkosh interview still fits. Make aviation less intimidating for people held back by traditional skill requirements and noise. Put all those pieces together, and suddenly the fascination becomes obvious. Electric power, vertical takeoff, 2 seats, folding wings, garage storage, EV-style charging, simplified controls, a claimed top speed of 155 miles per hour and up to 100 miles of range. It sits right where automobiles, aviation, software, and consumer technology collide. And that combination may matter more than any single specification. The attention is already extending beyond aviation circles. AIR announced in June 2026 that AIR-1 was named Robb Report's 2026 Best Personal Aircraft, recognizing its approach to personal flight and its combination of electric technology with a simplified user experience. That doesn't prove the aircraft will transform transportation, but it does show why people are paying attention to the concept right now. AIR-1 could lower some of the barriers that have kept ordinary people away from personal aviation. Home storage could become easier. Charging could become familiar. Controls could become less intimidating. Short trips might look completely different. But it cannot erase airspace rules, pilot requirements, weather, infrastructure, or safety responsibilities. The real breakthrough may not be no license at all. It may be simplification, designing an aircraft around ordinary consumers instead of traditional pilots. So is AIR-1 really a no-license aircraft? Not literally. That headline is shorthand for a much bigger idea. The more accurate story is an aircraft designed to make personal flying dramatically easier and potentially more accessible as newer regulations take shape. And now the real question is yours. Would you actually use one for commuting, recreation, or just because you finally could? Air-1's most fascinating feature may not be its speed. It's the idea of folding an aircraft into your garage, charging it like an EV, and making flight feel less intimidating. That could change how people imagine personal aviation. But would you take one into the sky? Tell me where you'd fly first, and let's see what everyone else thinks.